This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
DRC President Felix Tshisekedi rushes home from the AU summit after his senior security advisor is arrested. Chinese President Xi Jinping meets with foreign leaders as high-profile diplomacy continues during the Beijing Winter Olympics. And Senegal and Egypt clash tonight in the final of the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. Hello and a very warm welcome to Africa Live on CGTN. I'm Lindy Mtongana in Nairobi. In our top story, we begin in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where Special Security Advisor to the head of state, Francois Beya, has been arrested. That's according to local media. Reports indicate that he is being detained by the International Intelligence Agency. No official communication has been released to the public on the reasons behind his arrest. Well, let's get to more on this now. We are joined by CGTN correspondent Chris Ochamringa, live with us from Kinshasa. Chris, we understand that President Tshisekedi is said to have rushed back home from the AU summit, and there are reports of heavy security deployment in Kinshasa. What do we know so far about what is happening and why the President's security advisor has been arrested?
Well, Lindy, we've got information that President Felix Tshisekedi had to cut short his visit in Ethiopia, where he was chairing an African Union summit, after getting information about the arrest of his senior advisor on security, Francois Beya. We have been told that a human rights organization, a human rights activist who went to visit him, says he saw him. He is being detained by the military intelligence officers who interrogated him about a number of issues. We have not been told why he has been arrested, although there have been very many reports being made by other Congolese people. They're saying it was he was involved in a major conspiracy. There are other people who are also speculating that it could be a failed coup plot. But we haven't got any official communication from the DRC government, and the military services rarely give public statements about their investigations, because they fear it could jeopardize the inquiries that they're making so far. What we know is that Mr. Francois Beya was a very powerful official in President Felix Tshisekedi's government. He was appointed in 2019 to help deal with the insecurity in the east of the country, and he previously had served under President Joseph Kabila as the director of the immigration department in the DRC, the DGM. And prior to that, he also worked under former President Mobutu Sese Seko. So he's a man with a wealth of experience in security, and his arrest has shocked very many people in the DRC. Regarding the heavy deployment, I traveled earlier this day from the outskirts of Kinshasa. I haven't seen any extraordinary deployment of soldiers, of troops in the DRC. But perhaps it could be that those soldiers have been deployed in the president's residence, which is on the outskirts of the city. But I've been around the central part, the heart of Kinshasa. I haven't seen any heavy deployment of soldiers. Lindy?
So indeed a calm situation, but of course all this amid the arrest of a high-ranking government member. Thank you so much for that, Chris Ochamringa, live with us from Kinshasa. Well, Senegal and record winners Egypt are set to meet in the final of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in Yaoundé, Cameroon on Sunday. With both teams starting slowly in the group stage of the competition, they've managed to shift gears in the knockouts to set up a thrilling final. Well, let's bring you more on this. We now speak to CGTN's Mohamed Abubakar, who is in Yaoundé. Mohamed, the hosts pulled off a great comeback to at least secure a podium place at the tournament. But what does that mean for Cameroon?
It means a lot, Lindy, for them. It was always going to be about fighting for pride after that disappointment on Thursday, being eliminated in the semi-final by Egypt on their home soil. But I mean, they were 3-0 down last night, and they managed to put up a brave fight to come back to 3-3 and eventually going on to win that final. So there was a lot of pride among the Cameroon fans as well yesterday, given the fact that they did not reach the final but still managed to be among the top 3 of this year's Africa Cup of Nations. This only gives the team as well confidence going into the next assignment, which is the crucial qualifiers against Algeria for the Qatar 2022 World Cup. Lindy.
Well, of course, when it comes to the AFCON, we now have 2 African giants that are going to go head-to-head in the final. What should we expect from today's match?
Well, a cracker of a final. I mean, these 2 teams deserve to be in the final. Both of them have incentives, have motivation to win this one. Senegal have been in the final twice. They lost both finals. This is their 3rd time. They hope it will be it will be a charm for them, because as they always say, that time is a charm. So hopefully they can be able to get their first African Cup of Nations title tonight. For Egypt, there's been a lot of pressure on this Egyptian squad. I mean, they are the record holders of this competition, but this current squad are yet to win the Africa Cup of Nations. They're yet to test glory in this competition. So they're also going to be motivated for tonight's match. Going into the game, Egypt will be with tired legs, of course, because they've played 120 minutes in all 3 of their knockout stage matches, with Senegal only playing 90 minutes, winning their games in regular time. So they had an extra day for recovery, so they'll have extra legs going into this match. So I feel Senegal are on the upper hand going into this match, given they also have a stronger bench as well going into the match. So hopefully Senegal can manage to win it before the penalties, because we all know history says it. Egypt are very good when it comes to penalty shootouts. So if it goes the length up to the penalty shootouts, Egypt might have a hand in this tie. We'll just have to wait and see, Lindy.
Indeed, we shall. Thank you so much, Mohamed Abubakar, live with us there in Yaoundé. Now, on the sidelines of the Winter Olympics, Chinese President Xi Jinping has been meeting more world leaders who are in Beijing for the Games. On Saturday, a welcome banquet took place at the Great Hall of the People for visiting dignitaries. Earlier today, she met with Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, Argentine President Alberto Fernandez, Polish leader Andrzej Duda, and Singapore's Halima Yacob. In his meeting with the Singapore president, the Chinese leader called for the sound, steady development of China-Singapore ties. China's president told Poland's leader he hoped their bilateral cooperation would reach new heights. While meeting Argentina's president, Xi said China was ready to usher in another brilliant 50 years of relations. President Xi also called for a closer China-Pakistan community with a shared future during talks with Imran Khan. Now, in Morocco, family members are mourning a 5-year-old boy who died after being trapped in a well. Ryan Alron's father was reportedly repairing the well at the time. The incident happened in the village of Igran on Tuesday. Massive rescue operations began the same day, capturing national attention. Footage from a camera lowered into the well on Thursday had indicated the boy was alive and conscious. However, no updates on his condition had been given since then. Rescuers finally extracted him late on Saturday, but shortly after, the boy was pronounced dead. Morocco's King Mohammed VI and French President Emmanuel Macron have both sent their condolences to the family.
I can't describe how I feel that my cousin is gone. What can I say?
What can I say? I can't express my feelings. I was happy he was recovered. I can't express how I feel now.
My heart is aching for him too much. My nephew, my heart aches for him. May God be with him, just like how God stood with us.
Guinea's Transitional Council has met for the first time in Conakry. Military personnel, politicians and civil officials attended the weekend meeting. It comes months after the ouster of President Alpha Condé in September. The council was formed following the coup. Dansa Kuruma, who heads the body, says that it stands as the strongest and most legitimate voice of the people. It is also acting as the nation's parliament during the country's transition to the next elections. Malik Diaw, who is now heading neighboring Mali's transition since a 2020 coup, was present at the gathering. He said both African states stand at crossroads and are hoping to correct their governance. The 35th African Union Heads of State Assembly concludes today in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The two-day meeting is expected to make major announcements about the coups in West Africa and the coronavirus pandemic. Last evening, the Assembly called for greater representation of the African continent in the UN Security Council, with Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed saying Africa should have at least 2 permanent seats. Girum Chala now reports on some of the key messages from day one of the summit.
The 35th AU Heads of State and Governments meeting being held here in Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa brought together leaders from across the continent to discuss critical issues affecting the continent. The opening event saw speeches delivered by at least 3 heads of state as well as AUC Chairperson Moussa Faki Mahamat and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. More than 7 decades after the creation of the UN, Africa remains poorly represented in the powerful UN Security Council.
It is the right time to reform and revitalize the United Nations system to reflect current global realities and ensure that it is a more representative and equitable body. Only fair representation and transparency in those institutions can usher in a just era in multilateralism. Consistent with our Esluini Consensus of 2005, we should collectively insist that Africa's reasonable request for no less than 2 permanent seats and 5 non-permanent seats in the UN Security Council be adopted.
This year, the theme of the Assembly of the African Union is building resilience in nutrition on the African continent, accelerate the human capital, social and economic development. The continent has been urged to place more emphasis on the growth of the agriculture sector. The AU summit has also seen President Macky Sall of Senegal take over as the AU's new chairperson for this year. He replaced the DRC's President Felix Tshisekedi. In their speech, both leaders reiterated the need for African unity.
We need to step up our efforts on strengthening this spirit of solidarity in order to overcome once and for all the coronavirus and also ensure the economic recovery of our countries and to ensure a better future of our peoples.
I want to pay tribute to the founding fathers of the organization. 6 decades after, their enlightened vision continues to inspire our effort to live together and enlighten our march of solidarity towards the ideal of African integration.
The AU summit is a 2-day event, and it is expected to pass strong resolutions, especially on the peace and security situation of the continent. Group Dala CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Meanwhile, African officials have hailed the growing relations between China and African countries. On the sidelines of the ongoing African Union summit in Addis Ababa, delegates have called for enhanced cooperation with China. CGTN's Daniel Arabmoy reports.
Officials say that challenges like COVID-19 pandemic have tested the China-Africa relations and made the ties grow stronger.
China came through right from the beginning through the very key donation that came in from the Alibaba Foundation during the beginning of the pandemic, and recently China as a government has also made a pledge of 1 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines. So we are working very closely together with China and other Asian countries, indeed with many partners across the globe.
Since the outbreak of the pandemic, China has continued to provide various kinds of assistance, including vaccines and expert teams to help Africa cope with the COVID-19 pandemic. China's footprint in Africa extends far beyond to cover key areas like health, manufacturing, and ICT, along with skills transfer and academic exchanges. Experts have called on African countries to leverage investments from China in order to realize socio-economic transformation.
Indeed, the influence of China has grown prominently over the course of the past decade or so. And that is experienced in various sectors, whether it is in trade, where China has become one of the major trading countries for many African countries on the continent, whether it is in terms of issues relating to infrastructural investment.
The Asian country has also become a destination for African youth keen to pursue further studies. Daniel Arab Moy, CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Let's take a short break. Here's what's still ahead on the program. Protesters gather across Brazil to decry the killing of a Congolese immigrant in late January. Hundreds of protesters gathered across Brazil over the weekend to decry the brutal killing of a 24-year-old immigrant from the Democratic Republic of Congo in late January. According to the family, Moise Kabagambe was beaten to death over an alleged dispute over unpaid wages. The incident was caught on camera, showing 3 men attacking the deceased with a club and a baseball bat. Police say they have launched an investigation with 3 men already arrested in connection with the murder. Demonstrations occurred in over 20 cities, including Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Salvador and Brasilia. Many protesters highlighted wider issues of racism and a perceived lack of opportunities faced by Congolese immigrants.
It's a bit hard, but we have faith that justice will happen. He didn't deserve this death.
We are here to claim for justice to Moise that was cowardly murdered and to claim that this has to stop. This killing of foreigners, this cycle of killing black people.
Tanzania plans to introduce a new curriculum for nursery, primary and secondary school education in the country. A process of reviewing the current curriculum has already begun, involving the collection of views on how best to provide competency-based education in the country. CGTN's Isaac Lukando has more.
How and what Tanzanian students learn in schools could change by 2025. Since the country's independence in 1961, the education curriculum has been changed 6 times. The government says a new curriculum will help the country keep up with the demands of a changing world.
Our education does not enable graduates to employ themselves, to be employed, or simply be able to handle their daily lives.
Over the next 3 years, officials of educational institutions, both private and public, will give their opinions on what to include in the curriculum. The opinion of the country's almost 13.5 million primary and secondary school students will also be considered.
We can't talk of economic and scientific developments, as well as developments in politics, governance and cultural systems, without involving children and young people.
The government says it will gather opinions on what age to commence schooling, how many years should be spent in school, and the language to be used. Also under scrutiny is the type of books currently in use and the relevance of the information in them.
The UN estimates that between 800,000 and 1 million students in Tanzania enter the job market every year. With an improved curriculum, the government hopes to ensure that graduates have a better chance to earn a living from the skills they learnt in school.
While happy about the prospect of a curriculum change, some teachers in the country feel emphasis should not only be placed on the content taught in schools.
The government should look at having teachers who actually love teaching. When one loves the profession, they teach with all their heart. There are some who teach because they have nothing better to do.
With 26.4% of Tanzanians living in poverty, the government says the relevance of its education is a key priority. It hopes that an improved education system will help lift its citizens out of poverty and grow its economy. Isaac Lukando, CGTN, Dar es Salaam.
Your sports news up next on Africa Live. Coming up, Cameroon come from behind to take the third place spot from Burkina Faso. All right, back to the Africa Cup of Nations final now, where Senegal and record winners Egypt are set to meet in Yaoundé, Cameroon on Sunday. With both teams starting slowly in the group stage of the competition, they've managed to shift gears in the knockouts to set up a thrilling final. CGTN's Mohamed Abubakar previews this one for us.
After the completion of the group stage at this year's Africa Cup of Nations, very few considered Senegal and Egypt favourites to reach the final. Slow starts for both teams saw Senegal top Group B with only 1 win, 2 draws and just 1 goal scored, while Egypt started with defeat before finishing second behind Nigeria in Group E. Senegal's goal-scoring spree began in the knockouts, beating Cape Verde 2-0 in the round of 16, before identical 3-1 victories over Equatorial Guinea and Burkina Faso in the quarters and semis. Egypt, on the other hand, knocked out previous champions Côte d'Ivoire, Morocco and hosts Cameroon to reach the final.
Let's forget the group stage, how they performed in the group stages. Probably they're still picking up their paces little by little, and of course luck shone on both sides. But when they got to the real business of the tournament, they picked up.
The final will also give football fans a chance to watch arguably 2 of the best African players currently in Sadio Mane and Mo Salah as they try to lead their countries to glory. The forwards are also teammates at club level in the English Premier League side Liverpool, further adding spice to the showdown.
These are the 2 best players we have on the African stage right now, no doubt about that, and they are in their prime. They are scoring goals with reckless abandon for the same club. They've won the Champions League together. They've won the Premiership together. They've won trophies together. So this is the only trophy that one of them will win and one of them will lose.
Senegal has reached the final in this competition twice before, losing on both occasions in Mali 2002 and the last edition, Egypt 2019. Despite Egypt being the record 7-time winners, their fans are yet to see the current generation lift the trophy, with their 2017 final loss in Gabon being the closest they've come in the last decade.
It will make a big change for them. I mean, they're still, the majority are still young, and this will help us even win more championships in the future. But I hope we start with this, and let's see what comes next. Yeah.
Indeed, we are proud to be in the final, but the main objective remains to win the AFCON. It won't be easy. For a long time now, we've been chasing this title. We've been having great teams, always having amazing individual players, but still, we do not have an African title to show for it.
The stage is set for both teams to make history on Sunday. For Senegal, who are chasing their first African Cup of Nations trophy, and Egypt, who are eager to extend their record titles to 8. Mohamed Abubakar for CGTN at the Olembe Stadium in Yaoundé, Cameroon.
Meanwhile, hosts Cameroon came from 3-0 down to level the score before beating Burkina Faso 5